Hey everybody, Real with Wes, day 4. Hope everybody's doing good and doing well. Of course, a little behind on day 4 here, but you guys will see day 5 post right after this. But want to make sure I get to you guys each little thing. So day 4, we're talking about when it's not enough all week. We dealt with this element when it's not enough for God, when we fall short for people, the whole kind of mindset when it's not enough. But today I want to talk about that keyword mindset I just said. Romans 8:1 says therefore there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. The thing that gets us wrapped up in what I keep calling the hamster wheel of when it's not enough is this expectation, first of all, that we think that God's requiring something from us. He's not. And when that happens, we create these expectations, a lot of times unrealistic, and not realizing God doesn't need all that from us, that Jesus was enough, that we enter into condemnation. And condemnation brings rejection, it brings shame, it brings guilt, it brings regret, it brings I'm not good enough mentality, and it's always beating us up. And the whole thing really this week was to get you to shift off the focus. Our focus as human beings, especially when we aim for perfectionism, is we're aiming for, I got to arrive at this place of perfection, as if God's requiring that from us. And God is asking us to just continue to be on this journey of maturing and growing and be humble and stay in this place of servanthood where we continue to grow, realizing that in ourselves, who God's made us, that is enough. And being enough isn't about doing everything right and doing everything perfect. Although we want to strive for those things, we want to aim for those things to continuously grow, evolve, and be better. It's not about all that. And God is not requiring the system of dead works over and over and over to, you got to become this, you got to be in more than this, you got to be enough. I'm not enough in this area, I'm not enough in there. And the enemy plays with that because we keep trying to chase this thing that all of a sudden will arrive at enough, not realizing that Jesus has fulfilled those gaps. That's where grace comes in. There's many things every day I have to trust God with when I can't get to everything I want to get to. When I fall short, what do I have to do? I have to trust God. And see, ultimately what happens is when we create this I'm not enough mentality, we're not trusting God. We're not trusting in God's love, his fact that Jesus did it all, the fact that he did make us enough, the fact that he's not requiring us to be perfect, that it doesn't affect our righteousness, the fact that we're not trusting the fact that God is the one that's ultimately going to take care of it all, and that we're the fact we are not God, and that we're going to fall short, that we're going to have different areas where we don't hit the mark every time. And so what it does, it reminds us of our humanity and allows us to be human. It allows us to quit putting up the fake and perfected phoniness and fake church that all this flows from, where it's like, oh my God, I got to be perfect and I got to make sure everybody thinks I'm perfect and looks perfect, and yet no one is perfect. And so you have to get off this thinking, the wheel over and over. And then what happens if you can't get off it? You're going to keep falling short. Falling short, condemnation comes, guilt comes, shame comes, and it starts tearing apart your mind. It starts fracturing your soul. It starts beating you down as a person to where this is where suicide comes in. This is where addictions start flowing from. This is where all this bad behavior necessary, this is where all this torment will start to flow from, and this toxic way of thinking, and you never thrive as God has called you to thrive. Because why? You're stuck on this mentality, I'm never hitting the mark unless I hit perfect. And it's never enough. Well, God's not asking it to be enough. God's saying, I'm enough. Will you wake up to I'm enough? More than when you wake up, are you enough? It's not all about you and focusing on you being enough. It's about recognizing he is enough, and that is what makes it enough. And that you having a relationship, that you depending on him more. God's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to depend on him even more and trust the grace to work in you. Trust the grace to feel the weaknesses in you, instead of trying to be this perfect person that you're never going to arrive at necessarily. And once again, it's not that we throw off. It's not talking about bad behavior. It's not talking about, living for God, right? Man, we want to walk in love. We want to be the best we can possibly be. We want to come to the fullness of who God's made us to be. Don't get me wrong, but this idea of perfection arrival that creates when it's not enough. What happens when it's not enough and you don't do perfectly tithing, do perfectly your confessions, do perfectly treating everybody right? What happens when it's not enough? That's where God fills the gaps. And God is trying to get us to stop focusing on the enough part and focus on the fact that he is enough. and we trust him in that. And man, you're going to live lighter, you're going to live freer, you're going to live a lot happier. All right, that's all I got. Just want to encourage you with that. Get your mind off that. Focus on the right thing. Don't get so off focus on, I got to be enough, I got to be more, and realize in him you are enough, and then flow from that place and grow from that place and mature from that place and do better from that place. And man, you'll be a lot happier in life, and you'll experience God's best for you and reach God's best for you. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Catch you tomorrow. Love you guys.